Welcome to Python programming session 16. In this session, we are going to look at the file handling mechanism in Python. Okay. So what is a file? File is a means of storing some data. Okay. And that data can be safely saved and you can retrieve that data even after your program execution has completed. Right. So that's the main advantage of using files, right? That means wherever you need to store your data, okay, for future references, and if you want to access them in future, then you should think of working with files, right? So if you really think of how you write your Python programs or the scripts, right? And after that, what will you do? You write n number of statements, and then what will you do? You will save the file. In fact, most of the times, the Python code will be writing in a file only, and will be saving that file. Today, if you write a program and save it, and you can refer to that at later point of time, after some days, some weeks, some hours, or some even years, unless and until you explicitly delete that file. So all the programs that you write will also be saved in the form of file only on the computer's hard disk, which is called secondary memory. Okay. So whenever you are looking for data persistency, meaning okay, I run my program and my program reads input from users, but I don't want to lose that input. I may want to use that data for some calculations in future, or at least I want to retrieve the data and understand a couple of things. In such cases, you should think of using files. So if you want to really have some data and want to access it at later point, the best example I've given you is just your files, how you deal with your program files. Type in some program and you save it, and if you want to refer to that program again, you will open the same file again and you can refer to that. Since the statements that you have written have been saved in the form of file, you are able to access it at later point. And not only that, once you access your old program, you can go and make the changes to that and save it once again, right, for future reference again. So that is all nothing but manipulation of data. Manipulation comes in different forms, like you may probably edit the existing statement, or you may also add more statements, or you may completely delete some existing statements. This kind of operations all come under manipulation of data, right? So you can manipulate the data that is available within file. And once you manipulate the data, once again, you can save the changes for later use. Okay. If you come across any such situations, then you should use files. Okay. And the operations that we're primarily going to focus upon today is, first of all, why files. I have just covered why do we really need to bother about files, why do we need to use files. Similarly, what are different types of files that are available in Python programming, right? What kind of files I can deal with in Python, right? Similarly, the CRUD operations on files. So when I say CRUD operations, C stands for create. How to create a file is what we're going to learn. R stands for read. How to read content from the existing file. Okay. Similarly, update. How to update the content of a file and how to delete an existing file. So these are all the operations that we're primarily going to focus, all the CRUD operations. And then what are file opening modes and how many modes are there? Why do we need that many nodes, that many modes of file opening? And what is the difference between all of them is what we're also going to look at. Similarly, what are different ways to open files, how to open file, and if there are different more than one way, what are the pros and cons of each of these operations, each of these mechanisms is what we're going to look at. Similarly, if you have to write to files, how do you write the data to files is what we're going to look at. Once you have a file already existing, how to read the data out of it is what you're going to learn. Similarly, how to append the content to file. When I say append, it is nothing but adding the new content to the end of the file is called append operation. And there is something called file pointer. So what is that file pointer? How do I know where my file pointer is? All those things we are going to look with some examples. Similarly, what are different file operations that are supported by the methods available within inbuilt Python OS module? Okay, that is also what we are going to look at. All right, without any further delay, before I jump on to the practical session of this, I would like to introduce our website. Technolearnit.com is what you are seeing here. I would strongly encourage you to bookmark this link and have a look at it every now and then so that you will understand who we are, what we offer, what kind of courses we offer, right? And our mission. Also, if you want to contact us, these are different means through which you can contact us. So you can just choose one of them and contact us. And most importantly, if you are attending these sessions for the first time, this is a web page where you have all the resources that we have been using for all the sessions that we have conducted so far. And this is a 16th session. And soon after this session, you will be getting the resources that have been used in this session as well uploaded and available on this same web page. And all these resources can be downloaded for free and you can make use of them and become better at Python programming. And the same page also has information about the date and time of the upcoming live session. So you can visit this page and you can have the up-to-date information and you can plan to attend these live sessions accordingly. All right. So that's why this page is very important for you, and especially if you have joined this live session for the first time, please make a note of this, bookmark this URL, and access the freely available resources and be good at programming, become good at programming. The other resource that I would like to introduce is our YouTube channel, technolearnit.com. So I would strongly encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe yourself to this YouTube channel. And once you subscribe, what you will get is you will be getting the notifications on a daily basis for the daily quizzes. So we'll be posting one quiz question every day, right? And the answer is inbuilt. And if you watch these quizzes till the end, the right answer will be highlighted at the end of the reel or the short. So meanwhile, you can guess the answer out of these multiple choices available, and you can also validate whether your guess is right or wrong. All right. And these are very short videos, less than a half a minute, so it doesn't take much time for you to watch these. At the same time, since we are going to publish these on a daily basis, you will also be in touch with the concepts of the language, and this would really help if you are planning to attend any kind of interviews on Python. All right. And all the live sessions and all, you will be having notifications coming if you just subscribe to this YouTube channel. So if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please go ahead and search for Technolearnit and please subscribe to this channel. All right. With that said, I'll go back to the live session and I will cover the topics one after the other. All right. So what are the types of files? So before we get on to types of files, let me open a file so that I can code today's plan. Okay, I'm just opening something here randomly, and I can write down types of files. So there are two types of files that primarily we should talk about. The very first one is the text mode files, or text files is what we call, and the second one is binary files or binary mode files. All right. So text files are the files that are understood in the understandable format by human. So for example, the very best example is the files like this. So you see, I have saved this file, and once I close this file and if I go back and if I open, I can refer to this content whatever I have stored, saved, and saved last time. I can refer to that. For example, I am closing this window so that this file will not be there, and once again I'm going to open the file, right? So the place where I have placed my file is important. So this is where I have my file, correct? So you can see the file content intact. So this is called persistency, meaning I have typed some content in the file, and after some time I am able to access it. It's not only after some time. When I say some time, it could be after years and days also, right? So unless someone intentionally deletes that or accidentally deletes it, the content will be available for you. All right, but look at this file. If you just look at this file, the content of this file is understandable by human being, like people, a person. So you can directly see and understand, because the content of this file is in readable format. So all the text files will have the content in the human readable format. You just open the file, you will understand the content, not only through um, editors like this, but there are text editors again. So for example, if you go to, okay, let me go to the place where I have been saving these files. Okay, so P drive, from there Python programs, from there you have, this is a file. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the same file in some text editor that I have on my box, and that is called a Notepad++. So you see, you open the file, you can directly understand the content of that file. So these are the files which are in text mode. These are called text mode files or text files. The extension need not be txt, the extension can be anything, but the format in which the content is saved in this file is important. So any file you open it in any text editor, there are so many text editors available. Notepad++ is one of them. Notepad is another one, right? TextPad is another one. Sublime Text is another one. There are many, many, many text editors available from different vendors. So if you open a file, just like how I did, if you are able to understand the content, if the content is in understandable format and if you can read it, it means that that file is in text mode, or that file is in text, that file is text file. So these are all the examples of text files. All the programs that you have written so far and you have saved them, all those are examples of text files. Those are all text files only. Okay, those text files contain the programs that you have written. Make sense? In contrast, let me go to some software installed. For example, I have Python. Okay, look at this. I don't want to corrupt this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. See, I got a copy. This is also a file, in fact. Let me open this in Same Notepad++ editor. Is this in human readable format? Can you read this and understand? Not all of it. That means this is a second type of files which is in computer understandable format or system understandable format, but not in human understandable format. You go through the content. This is not user friendly to read and understand, right? So such files are called binary files. Make sense? So what I have opened is a binary file with the extension exe. Exe means executable. Okay, I'm just deleting this for now. There is another thing like what I can see is a DLL. Let me do the same with it. I don't encourage you to do this operation directly on the file. So if you want to really experiment, make a copy of that file and then experiment with it. The reason being, if you directly do this operation on the original files, some text editors, when they open or when they close the files, they may add some extra characters to the content of the file. If such thing happens, these DLL files or executable files will be of no use. They won't work as expected. Then you may have to reinstall the corresponding software and all. That's the reason I don't encourage it. That's why I have been making a copy and I'm going to show you how the content looks like when you open. See, this is also not in human readable format. So this kind of files are called binary files. However, binary files are system friendly because a computer can understand the content of this file and it can um, proceed accordingly. It can perform the operations accordingly. That's why binary files are system friendly and text files are user friendly. Okay. As a user, I can just open a text file in any text editor and understand the content. Whereas a binary file content I cannot understand because it won't be in human readable format. That is a primary difference between text files and binary files. The content within the binary files will not be understandable by the human being, right? So what are other examples of binary files that come to your mind? Any songs that the files where the content of the song is stored, like audio files. Those audio files, if you open them in a text editor, you won't understand its content, but you can listen to that, right? Why you can listen to that? Because the operating system or your computer is able to understand the content of that audio file and it can convert it into a human hearable format or audible format, right? From that sense, if computer is not able to even understand that, then you cannot listen to that song. Computer cannot convert it into sound waves, right? That's why all the song types or audio types of files or video types of files, even videos are also an example of binary files. You cannot, if you open any video file in Notepad++ or any text editor, you cannot directly understand the content, right? That is why all such files fall under the category of binary files. Text files, as I said, just if you open, it's a blind thumb rule here is that if you open the content of a file in any note in any text editor like Notepad++, if you are able to read it and understand it, then if it is in human readable format, then it is a text file. But if it is not, then it is called binary file. Why do you use binary files? Of course, you know why do we use text files, right? Text files are used to save the data where user has typed in something in the user human readable format or human understandable format, and if you want to refer to that content later, you will save the file that becomes the text file. All the Python programs that you have written so far and saved fall under the category of text files. What are binary files? Binary files are the files that are understood by the computer and they are meant for some specific purpose. All the audio files are examples of binary files. All the video files are examples of binary files. All right. That is all about types of files. How many types of files are there? Two types. What are they? Text files and binary files. You should be able to differentiate between these two. All right. Next, what are the operations on files? As I mentioned, CRED, where C stands for create. That means how to create a file is what you're going to learn. Similarly, how to read the content from a file is what you're going to learn. Also, how to update the content, already existing content is also you're going to learn. And how to delete the content of a file is also what you're going to learn. So let me comment out this for now. All right. So CRUD operations refer to these things. So if you know how to create a file, how to read the file content, also how to update the content of a file, also how to delete the content from a file, you are almost aware of all the file operations and you can then creatively create different types of programs. Okay. So these are the very basic operations that everyone has to understand if you are interested in performing some file operations. Right. So that's about file operations, and I don't want to directly jump into create, but I want to first make you understand how to read from an existing file. Once you know how to read from an existing file, then I will cover this concept of creating the files on your own and referring to their content again from the Python program. All right. Before you understand these operations, you need to also know what are different file opening modes. Okay. One thing you have to understand is that any operation that you want to perform on a file, what are the operations that you can perform on the file? I have just listed it here, right? The very first thing you have to do is you have to first open that file. What does it mean by opening a file? What is meant by opening a file? First of all, where are these files saved? You tell me, if I save this file, where is it saved? Where is this file saved? The file name by aaa.py, it is saved in this path, right? Of course, this is the entire path. But in what memory it is saved? When you save a file, that is saved in hard disk of the computer. Hard disk of the computer is example of secondary memory. All right. And I keep on typing something. You see here, look, observe this file title carefully. You see this? Sorry. You see this? This is the name of the file aaa.py and this is a path of that file. Make sense so far? Now I'm just pressing enter key and observe the difference on this very first line. What happens? You observe the difference. Okay. You got a star over there. You see, any time if you observe the star before this file name, it means that this file has some unsaved content. That means after your last save, you made some changes to this file. Okay. For example, now I'm going to write down the file opening modes. So one is OR. See, you see, still star is there because the content is not yet saved, right? OR means read. Okay. So I keep on typing something in this file and you can see that it gives an indication that this file has some unsaved content. What does it mean by unsaved content? When I say unsaved content, it means that the content that I have just typed in, where is it saved? This is saved in your computer memory again. But when I say computer memory, computer has two types of memory in this context. One is one is random access memory, or simply you call it as RAM. What is the RAM capacity of your computer? This is a general thing that people talk when they're purchasing a computer or looking at friend's computer, right? Or when they really talk about slowness and fastness of a computer. What is the RAM available on your computer? RAM means random access memory. That random access memory is available on your computer, and whatever I have typed so far from my last save, that is available in the random access memory or RAM. RAM is also called primary memory. So here we are going to talk about two types of memory. Okay, one is primary memory. The second one is secondary memory. Primary memory is also called RAM, random access memory. RAM stands for random access memory. Every computer has some random access memory. And sorry about the typo. Secondary memory is generally the memory capacity, the memory that is in the form of hard disk in on your computer. Okay, this is the classification of memory that we need to first understand. So primary memory and the secondary memory. Secondary memory is nothing but your hard disk available on your computer, and primary memory is a memory which is in the form of RAM. Okay, RAM will be coming in the form of chip, and secondary memory will be coming in the form of hard disk. I'm sure you have all seen the hard disk, physical hard disk, and RAM comes in the form of a chip which you will just insert it in a slot on the motherboard. All right. So when I type in something, okay, when I type in something like this is all going to store in random access memory first. That means in my RAM. So as long as you see this star here, it means that whatever I have typed in so far, that is available within RAM memory. Okay. And if I don't save the content and close this file and go away, what would happen? The content that is available in this RAM will be washed out, wiped off. So next time I open this file, I can't see the latest content in this file. Make sense? That means this is a temporary memory. This is a temporary memory. When I say temporary memory, till what extent it is temporary, till what time it is temporary? It is temporary until your program executes and your program maintains some data. Make sense, right? Understood. It is temporary memory. For example, you turn on your computer and there will be so many programs running in the background. So all that content will be available in RAM. Once you shut down your computer, all that data will be wiped off. So the content that is available for your access only when your computer is on, when your computer is running, all that content will be available in RAM memory. Okay, and in contrast, even if you are able to access the data even after you shut down your computer and turn it on again, then it means that that content is available on your secondary memory or the hard disk. So as part of uh, turning on your computer, the whatever the operating system that has been installed on your computer, that is responsible for moving some data from your hard disk to RAM. That means data moves back and forth between secondary memory and primary memory. So you have installed the operating system. Once you have installed the operating system, it also has its own files. All the DLLs, executables, so whatever I have shown you, all those are examples of operating system files only, or application program files. Correct. So those are just available within the hard disk. From hard disk, from hard disk or secondary memory, they will be transferred to primary memory, but not all of them. Whatever is needed, that content, only those files will be transferred to primary memory, which is in the RAM. So when the data is available in the RAM, computer can access it very quickly. That means it has access to the content which is available in RAM more faster than what is available in secondary memory. So what computer does is, when it is running, whatever content it needs from some files that are available in the hard disk, it will just transfer that data into RAM or the primary memory so that it can access it fast and it can perform the operations, can manipulate those, and it can once again probably write the content back to the hard disk before it quits the program or when user asks it to save that. Same thing, that's what I have been doing here. So this file is now unchanged. What if I say save? What happens? What is a save operation really? Now you should be able to understand it. The save operation is nothing but an operation that moves the data that is available in primary memory to secondary memory. Make sense? And any data that is available in secondary memory is permanent. This is a permanent memory. Okay. And when you say permanent memory, that does it mean that once I create a file, will it be available forever? Not really. Again, and it will be available between the restarts of the computer. But if you explicitly go and delete that file, the content won't be available for you. From that sense, the secondary memory is treated as permanent memory. So you turn off the computer, nothing happens to your content. You turn on your computer again, you can again refer to the content of this file. You will be able to still see the content. So that is the difference between primary memory and secondary memory. So when I start opening a file and typing something, what is the type of memory in which it will be available? First, it will be available in RAM or the secondary memory, sorry, or the primary memory. Only when you save it, it will get onto secondary memory, which is a hard disk. So save operation is nothing but moving the content from primary memory of the computer to the secondary memory of the computer so that you can maintain persistency. Persistency is nothing but when you shut down the computer or when you close that application or when you close the program that you are working with, okay, the content of the content associated with that program will be lost. If you want to retain it and use it at later point of time, then you have to save it. To save it, you need to transfer this data from primary memory to secondary memory, which is nothing but the save operation. Any file, even it could be Word or it could be any other software that you are using, the save operation refers to this only. Your save operation will perform the transfer of data from RAM memory to secondary memory. All right, so these are the types of memory. And now say you have just you have turned on the computer and now you want to refer to your program that you have written last week. Make sense? So what we will do, you will do open operation. What is open operation? Even here also I was doing the same. No, I was doing open. What did this open do, or what is this open responsible now? Always keep these two types of memory in your mind. With respect to this, you understand every operation, it would be easy for you then. Make sense? So what is file open operation? File open operation, what it will do, if the file is already present on the hard disk or the secondary memory, it will move the content or it will transfer the content of that file from hard disk to RAM so that computer can access it very quickly and efficiently. I told that the data that is available in the primary memory will be very accessible to computer rather the content that is available on the hard disk. So the very first thing that happens is when you want to deal with a file, since the file is saved safely and permanently on the hard disk, the content of the file will be transferred from hard disk to primary memory or the RAM. Once the content is transferred to RAM, then you will be able to access it, right? So all the programs that you write or whatever, that would be your program should be able to access it since the content is available in the RAM. So file open operation is nothing but what? Transferring the content of a file from hard disk to primary memory or RAM. What is save operation? Save operation is nothing but the operation that involves the transfer of data from primary memory to secondary memory. That is the difference between open operation and save operation in terms of files. Make sense? Now, if you have to read from a file or if you want to write to a file, first of all, that file has to be present, right? So before you perform any such operations on a file, the very first thing is you have to really open the file. What is open again? I just described. Opening the file is nothing but transferring the content of the file from hard disk to RAM. To do that operation, we have open method or open function in Python that I'm going to show you. But before you are opening a file, in general, you need to mention what is it you want to do, what operation you want to do with that file. Do you want to read the content from the file, or you want to update the content of the file, or you want to overwrite the content of the file? These are the three main things that you need to understand and differentiate between. Reading the content of the file, very clear, right? Already there is some content in the file. I want to read the content. That is what read operation means. What is meant by update operation? Update operation means I want to add some more content to this at the end of the file, which is called append operation. Or I want to change some line and again I want to save it. That is also an update operation, right? Or I want to delete one line or some lines of uh, content in this file. That comes under delete operation. If I have to delete only some portion of the content but not the entire file, then that would become deleting the content of the file. Some content you can delete, right? So these are all different operations. So if you have to open a file, you need to tell whether you need to tell Python whether you want to, what is the purpose of opening this file. You want to open it for read operation or write operation or append operation or read and write, read and append, or there are multiple multiple ways you can open a file in. Those are nothing but file opening modes. Okay, you can open a file for reading purpose. You can open a file for writing purpose. You want to write to a file, write some new content to a file. You can open file for write operation. So this is read, this is write, and A stands for append. Append means adding at the end, right? Adding the new content at the end of the already existing content, right? So these are the operations. First, I will cover these and I'll go to other modes. Actually, there are other modes as well. But before going there, sorry, before going to other modes, first I'll make you understand what these are. So let me first comment on this. All right. Now let me also comment on this. Right. Now, the very first thing that you need to understand about read is I said open is a function in Python that allows you to open a file. And what I'm going to do, I'm first saving this file, okay? So look at this star will be going off because the content so far available in the RAM or the primary memory will be transferred to hard disk or the secondary memory. So you can see this star going away. Make sense? So now this open function takes two arguments. What are those? One is a file name. For example, I'm trying to open mypoem.txt. So this is the very first argument to this open function I am passing now. The first argument is mypoem.txt. What is this mypoem.txt? That is the name of the file. Every file will be having some name. No, I have shown you multiple files here. Every file, not holders, but file. Every file, only focus on file. So this is a text file. Obviously, you can open this in any text editor, and it would be understandable. It would be in understandable format, right? So you see, you can read it. So this is a text file, right? So these are all the files, and every file has some name. So what you are asking now in your Python program is, please open the file by name. Open the file by name mypoem.txt. Go and search for the file which is by name mypoem.txt and open it. I already told you what is open. What does open represent? Open is an operation which would transfer the content from hard disk to RAM or secondary memory to primary memory, right? So it will go and search where this mypoem.txt is. But for this, what you need to have is, where is your current program right now? It is, this is what we are referring to. This is my program now. For now, for simplicity, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a file in this same path. Okay. So I'm going to create a file, create a text document, and I name it as mypoem.txt. Okay. Now I will open this file in editor, text editor, and I will type in something. Twinkle, twinkle. I'll put it in the next line. Little star. Okay. How I wonder what you are. I just put a full stop here and I just press enter. I save this. That means I'm creating a text file myself so that you can understand the content from the program, right? So what I have done so far, I have created a text file by myself and I have written my own content. Makes sense? I have written my own content in that. What I'm going to do now is, from my Python program code, okay, I'm writing some code here. I have used open and I have mentioned the name of the text file that has to be opened. And for now, I want to open this file for reading purpose. I want to read the content of that file. So you mention the second argument here as R. R stands for read operation. No, I want to access the content of this file for reading purpose. So I mentioned the file name and I also mentioned what is the operation that I want to do with that file, which is nothing but read operation, right? And this one would return something called file handle, and I would say my file, assign this to my file or anything. This can be x, any variable, any valid variable name you can use here. So my file is equal to open is a function you need to call, and it has taken two arguments in this case. One is the name of the file that you want to open, and the purpose of opening this file is for read for now. That's why you have to mention or, because for read the character that the string that you need to use is R. So you have used this R. All right. If I now execute my program, what happens again? Right now, where is this my poem.txt? In which memory? Is it in RAM or is it in secondary memory, hard disk? It is on hard disk. Since you are seeing it on my holder structure and all this explorer, file explorer, this is in hard disk right now. This is in the hard disk. right? So now once you run this statement, the content of this file from hard disk will be transferred to RAM at some location. It will be available in RAM so that computer can read it or you can perform any operations now. Makes sense. So that is about my open function that we use on files. All right, now my file refers to the content of my file. How do I know what it holds? So you can directly print my file itself. See how simple Python is. You read the content from the file, okay, associate that with some variable, and directly you go ahead and print the content. Direct print, right? Let us save this now and let me run this. Okay, my poem.txt mode is on and coding is this. Okay, there is something. Why is it not able to print? Let me check quickly. My poem.txt is a name same. My poem.txt. Okay, I think, yeah, I think I need to, maybe we'll try with the raw string. Sorry, save this and then run it once again. Okay, okay, I got it. Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah, it is able to read. You need not even use raw string, but yeah, I'll tell you the reason. Sorry about that. So, couple of things here. Okay, so first thing is you have opened the file so far. Okay, and the content is, and this is just a file handle. Okay, what you need to do if you have to read the content of this file, you need to use a method read. I missed that. Sorry about that. Read, and whatever you read from this file, whatever read returns that you are printing, this is what should print the content. See, yes. Okay, this is the same content that you have been putting in your file, and now your Python program is able to read the content of an existing file. Make sense? Your Python program is able to read the content of your file. You see that? This is not something that I have opened it in Notepad++ or any text editor, but your program, Python program, is able to understand the content of the file and it is able to print it. Finally, say for example, I'm done with my operations on this file. You need to close that. So you need to use close function for that. Open and close are counterparts to each other, right? You open a file and once you are done with that, you perform some operations. In this case, what operation did I perform? I have performed the read operation. I have read from the file content. I have read the content from the file. Okay, I am done. That was my objective and I have completed my job. Then finally you have to close that file. To close the file, you need to use close function. All right. So I just save this again. I run it any time, number of times you run, you will be getting that content, right? Say run this module. You see the content from that file has been retrieved and you can see it printed on the console. So who read the content from this profile mypoem.txt? It is your Python code, Python program. Your Python program is now able to read the content from the file and print it here. So sometimes what you will do is you can assign this to some variable like my file dot read. So whatever the content that is available in the file, you please assign it to some variable is what you said. And now you can say print data directly. You can directly print data. This data is nothing but coming from the same file by name myfile.txt. And finally you close the file. Same operation, same output will be coming even for this execution also, right? The only difference is that the content of the file has been first saved to a variable called data, and then you are printing that variable content of that variable data. Makes sense? So this is how you can perform read operation on a file. You can perform read operation on a file. To perform read operation on the file, what is it you need to do? The very first thing is you have to first open that file. You have to open that file. How to open the file? Using open function. And you need to mention what file you want to open. And you also need to mention what is the purpose of opening that file. What is the mode in which that file has to be opened. Right now, I wanted this file to be opened for reading reading purpose. So I mentioned second argument as read, and after this open the content, this is called file handle, or this is just a reference to that file, that's all. And then if you want to read from that file, you have to use myfile.read function. Read function is read is a method actually, so you need to use read method, and with the file handler you need to use that read, and the content will be getting into this variable in this context, and then when you print the content you can see the content of that entire thing. Make sense? And it could be any file now, right? It could be any file. For example, this was the program that I have written some time back. Now let me access the content of this and print it out from my Python program. So what I have to do then, I have to just change the name of the file, that's it. Name of the file, correct? Now I'll save this and I'll run this program. You see, this is the content of that file. Makes sense? Let us prove that. Just open this in Notepad++ or any other text editor. You see, it's the same content, no? That you are seeing on the screen when your program got executed. Same thing. All right. This is how you can use your Python program to access the content from a file, and you can of course perform multiple creative operations. Okay, I'm just closing it from editor. All right. So this is a way of opening a file for reading purpose and then getting the data from that file. Makes sense? Okay, and right now I have used read method, which will read the entire content of that file, and it has assigned it to data. What if I want to read uh, the content as in like in bits and pieces? Bits and pieces meaning I want to read. Okay, I'll just show you. I want to read only 3 characters from that file. Okay, I want to read only first 3 characters from that file. Then you have to pass that argument, which is an integer indicating how many characters you want to read. Or I will read 4 characters. Okay, just anything, but I just want to show. Now let me run this code once again. You see, you got a twin. Where is this coming from? Actually, the content of your file is this entire thing. No, from this entire content of the file, you have asked for only first 4 characters. And these are the 4 characters that you can see now. Make sense? So if you want to read this entire word, how many characters it has? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, no? So you can make your program read only first 7 characters and then see how what it returns. See, it gives you twinkle, meaning it is able to read the content from this file. Okay, and you are just telling, oh, read only this many characters, don't read the all the content. If you don't pass any argument to this read, it reads everything, the entire content, and it will print here because use it print. But if you say read only 10 characters, for example, it will read only first 10 characters. These are the first 10 characters including space. This is already 7, 7 plus 1, 8, 9, 10. Make sense? So you can read only few characters from the file, or you can read the entire content from the file. Makes sense? It's the same read function. If you don't pass any argument to it, then it reads the entire content. If you pass argument to it, it treats that as a number of characters it has to read and reads only that specific number of characters only. Make sense? That is about read. Okay. Next one, you can also read the content from the file in different ways. The other way is you can, I'll just write was something like this. See, read line. This is another method. I'm using read line. What will you do? You get it and understand. See, twinkle twinkle. Out of this entire content, it is able to read only twinkle twinkle. That means what? It is able to read only one line of content from this file. Make sense? For that, I should use read line method. So for read, what are the operations? What are the methods that I have been using? For read, I use read. I also use read a different variation as 10 or 5 or some number of characters. I also use read line. Make sense? So far, this is what I have been showing you. All right. So you have to understand the differences between each of these, right? Read, read the entire content. Read 10, read only first 10 characters. Read line, read one line. When how does it differentiate? How does it know? How does Python know it is just one line, right? So wherever you see the space, you see a new line character because I have typed a new line character, right? In my poem.txt, I have typed enter so that I have come to the new line when I was storing the data. See, this is one line. How do I create a line? By pressing enter. So that a new line character is what Python uses to differentiate between the lines, whether this is the end of this line or not. It will understand you by just checking the new line character. Makes sense? So that is how this continues, and this is a read line. It will just read one line. If you want to read next line, if you want to read one more line, like little star is what you want to read, what you have to do then? You have to do this again, right? You have to do this again. So what I can do is I can just, do it second time. Now you guess the output. What will be there in data now? It would be little star. It would be little star. First time when it read the line, it read twinkle twinkle. This line it read. Second time when it read, this is what it read. And that is what you are printing finally. That's why it is little star. Makes sense? So that is how you can read. And what if you want to read line by line? You can put a loop. How? For some X you can say, but generally we use line or something, some meaning. In my file, this is a for loop. Simple. You read it and you print it. Okay. And run this. Same content you will be getting. Sorry, I am doing it twice or what? Yes, I'm do. Sorry. For each line in my file, data is my file dot read line and then print. It is correct only, no? You open the file, you read one line at a time. Oh, sorry. I'm again reading one line here. That's why it is doing double time, no? I have to print line itself now because this line is the one which will get the content every time from the file, and that's what you directly print. So this is how and that print itself will add the new line character. No, that's why you're getting space. If you want to get rid of that, you can just pass end equal to empty string, and now you run. You can get the exact content as what is there on the what is there in the file. Make sense? So read the content from the file in different ways. You can use read or read with some specific characters, or you can use read line, or you can also use for loop, just like how I have used for loop here. For line in my file, this will read one line at a time and you can print it. The other way is you can do read lines. Okay. So the next one that I'm going to show you is read lines. What does it do? Let us see. What if I say data is equal to my file dot read lines and print my data. Print date. And this now you see what happens. Read lines. What did written first of all? What is this symbol for? This has written a list, right? It has written a list. And what does it list contain? This is one element in the list. This is another element, and this is the last element in the list. So this list contains strings. So your content has been written as a list of strings, as a list of strings, and each string refers to one line of content. What is this new line character? Because you have pressed enter when you have created that file, that has been converted into new line character and is explicitly visible here. Makes sense? So each line of your file has been considered as one element in the list, and the list has been written back. Make sense? So you know how to traverse through list and all. If you want, you can write another loop and you can traverse through these and you can also print that. That's another way. Makes sense. So that is how you can just use read lines also. Read lines. Okay. Or you can use a for loop as I have shown. These don't really use for loop because you are reading fixed number of characters and read line always one line in my example. But you can use a for loop on read line and you can print line by line also, or you can manipulate line by line. Anything you can do. And read lines is just to read all the lines from the file, but convert it into a list of strings, and that list of strings is what has been stored in this data. Make sense? So that is how you can read the data from the content and you can print it. In this case I have only printed, but you can do any operation on that, anything on that content. This is all about read operation. Most importantly, what if I try to open a file mypoem1.txt? Okay, remember, there is no file by name mypoem1.txt in this entire folder, but let me try that. What the experiment is that I'm trying to open a non-existent file in read mode. What happens? You will be getting file not found error. This is very important differentiation actually among other mode that I'm going to discuss in a second, right? So when you try to open a non-existent file in read mode, you will be getting an error. Python throws an error, file not found. File not found error is what you will be getting. Make sense? See, no such file or directory by name mypoem1.txt is what it says. Make sense? And if you really open, try attempt to open an existing file means this file is already existing. No, So if you try to open this, it will simply open that file and it will continue to do the rest of the operations in your code. All right. So this is how you perform the read operation, and these are different ways of reading the content from an existing file is what I have shown. In case you try to open a non-existent file in read mode, it will just result into a file not found error. This is all about read mode and how it works and how can you read the content from the file. What are different ways to read the content of the file? Content of the file is what we have covered here. All right. The next one is write operation. Or before I go to write operation, I will just cover append operation quickly. So to open a file in append operation, you need to use A. Okay, A stands for append. So what you convey to this open function here is that I would like to open the file by name mypoem.txt in append mode is what you mentioned. Okay, so what happens if I open a file in append? What is the operation append? Append is an operation of adding the content to the end of the file. Adding the content to end of the file. So far, what is the content in my file? Let us quickly show you in Notepad++ or text editor. This is what it is. And if I want to add something at the end from a program, I can manually come here and add. That's a different thing. But what if I want to make my program add some content to the end? Then I have to open that file in append mode. Okay, all right. I have just opened the file in append mode, and then what I am going to do is I am going to add some extra content to this. Okay, for that I need to use the method write, because I'm writing to the file. So this is right. Okay, first thing, I have opened this file in append mode. Then I am using the method called write. What do you want to write? I may probably write something like this is the last line in the file. I'll say in the file. So I want to write this content at the end of this file. Okay, what does this file contain? I have shown you. This is a file. This file contains this content, and what where I want to add that content. This is a last line of the file. I want to add it at the on line number 5. Okay, so let us go and execute this program. Don't print it now. This is because only this is for reading, sorry, writing purpose, right? So if you run this, nothing will happen from your console point of view, because this will just add the content to the file, but you may not see the result directly from this run. So I just run this module. Sorry, I did not close this string. My bad. I'm going to run this again. Okay, you see there is nothing, there is no output at all. But what do you think my execution of this code resulted into? Let us go back and check. You see, it says that someone has changed, and say yes. See this. What happened? This file, whatever that mypoem.txt, got an extra line of code, extra line of content. Who has added that? Your Python file has added that. Your Python program, when it has executed, has added that. You run this program once again, this will be added once again. Where? On line number 6. Make sense? Sorry, not line number 6 but line number 5 only. It will continue to add it here, but I will show you. Let me run this once again, please. Okay, execution done. You come here and you see here it continues to add to the same line. But if you want to add it at the end to the next line, then here only you have to use /n. Make sense? So go back. I'll just delete this content intentionally. Okay, I'll save this and now go ahead and run this program once again. Run this code once again. Okay, nothing on the console. You cannot see the end result. But here, if you go, you can see this content has been added by your Python program. And you run this once again, another line of content will be added. Make sense? So how many ever times you run this program, its job is to just add this at the end of the content, already existing content plus at the end of already existing content, it will be adding this. That's what append operation. Appending means add at the end. Make sense? Now I'll just how do I programmatically do this again reading operation? You already know that. I'm just writing that code as well for you to understand. Now open the same file in reader mode because you already closed this in append mode. No, you already opened it and closed in append mode. Now I'm once again opening it in the read mode. And what I can do is I can directly print my file dot. How can I read the entire content? I can use read lines. No, read lines. Read lines is another function. Make sense? And then of course I have closed this also. So the same file I'm opening it in for different purposes. First I have opened it for appending the content. Second time you opening it for the reading purpose. And I also read the content. I have closed it once again. Let me run this. You see, look at the elements of the linked list. It has added 3 lines of code because last time when I ran it twice, you got 2 lines already, and this is a third one. So these are the lines that keeps on adding as and when you run your program. Makes sense? So this is how you can deal with such a situations. Okay. So you know how to append the content to a file. Open the file in append mode, add whatever you want to add, the content, new text, finally close the file. To validate that, two ways. Directly go to the file editor and check if it has updated with the new content, or you can write the Python code itself to again open the file in read mode and read the entire content. Okay, and then you can just simply print it out. Okay, and if you don't want it to be in the form of list, then you can just use read. I'm just going and deleting this just one time so that you'll just have only one line extra coming here, the last line. Run this. You see, already I have added a enter key there, right, in the file. So let me go back to the file and show you. Already I have pressed enter key, and from there it has started printing. That's the reason, right? So that is how you can understand how this append works on the files. All right. If you don't want to maintain this extra space on this, what you can do, you can just be on the same last line wherever you are. Don't press enter and save this, and then you run the program again, because print always prints on the next line automatically, so yeah, you see here, because my cursor was here, I have just kept it here only. It has continued to write the new content from there. Make sense? So these are all what you can manipulate on your own. If you want to always write this on a new line, you can put /n at the beginning, /n like this. Okay, so this is how you can manage this by your own based on the requirement. And I'm going to remove this again. Okay, and save this. Now run this, because now this print will first come to the new line and then it will print. It's the right function, no? So run this again. It will first write new line slash n, right? Sorry, it will first write new line slash n. After this new line, it again continues to append this. So that's what you have been doing here. So it is all up to you how you want to deal with it. Okay. All right. This is how you can. Sorry, where is save? This is how you can append to the existing file, and so I have just covered append. For that you use write operation, write function, right? Okay. Well, so the very important thing is, I'll just comment on this code for now. I'll explain you file pointer. What is file pointer and how does it work? In this case, you open the file for read purpose. When you open the file for reading purpose, there is something called file pointer. Whenever you open a file, okay, in general, in any mode actually, if you open a file in any mode, there will be something called file pointer. That file pointer will point to some position. And remember, when you open a file for read operation, the file pointer would be, I'll just change this, okay, while file pointer would be at this character. These positions are counted with zero based indexing. So this is 0, position 1, 2, just like normal strings, right? So just you have opened the file, and where will be your file pointer? It will be just at the 0th location. So how can we identify that? So in the program, what you can do is, I have just opened the file and read for reading purpose, and here I can print L is a method that you can use for that. Tell. Okay, tell will give you where really the file pointer stands at this point of time. So as I said, it would be at 0. No, let us run this. See, it came as a 0. What does it 0 indicate? That means when you open a file for reading purpose, it will be just at the very first location, because that is where it has to read. No, what happens if I read maybe okay, let it be like that, and I'll repeat this after reading some 5 characters. Okay, you read, you know how to read 5 characters, no? You have to just say in the read you need to mention 5, correct? So here you you asked, where is my file content? Tell me. Soon after I opened the file in the read mode, it would be at 0th index. After you read 5 characters, where it will be, I am trying to ask it again and it will give you the answer. So let us just run this and show you. So it was at 0 as soon as you opened the file for reading purpose, and it read 5 characters. So after reading 5 characters, so this is 0, no? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. After reading 5 characters, it would be at the fifth position, because this is counted as 0th position, no? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it read all the characters up to fourth index, and it is at fifth location. So that is what tell will tell you. Tell is a method which can return the current position of the file pointer relatively. When I say relatively, from the beginning of the file, where is it is what you can understand. Okay, can you guess the output of this? I just used read. Can you guess where the file pointer would be now after this operation? You know the very well that soon after I open a file for reading purpose, it will be at 0. Well, it will be at 0th index. Then what does read do? Read will read all the content from the file, correct? Okay. Then if I ask where are you, what it will tell? Run this. It has given me 92. What is this 92 really? So if you look at this, initially it was here. Soon after I opened the file in the read mode. After that, I read all the content. I read all the content, and after that, where will be my file pointer be? It has read all thing. As and when you read, no, it keeps moving. No, when I read 5 characters, it was reading these 5 characters, and it says I am here. Soon after the last read character. So now it read everything. So you see, I have 92 characters in my file. So it was at 92nd position because it's 0 no, so it read 91 positions and now it is at 92nd position. That is why you got 92 here. Does it make sense? Right? I read everything and I'm asking where are you. Obviously it will be at the end of the file now because I read everything. Right? Now interestingly, what if I open a file in append mode? Okay, I open the file in append mode and I ask where are you, tell me. Okay, if it was read mode, this would be giving you 0 because when the file is opened in read mode, it will be just sitting at the beginning. If I open the file in append mode, right away it jumps to the last position. Does it make sense? That is why it is called append, right? So the file pointer will be readily available at the last character available, next to last character available in the file, so that you can add the new content. You can add the new content to an existing file. That is what append really does. Append will not only open the file, but it will also place the file pointer at the end of the last character so that if you write new content, it can write from there. It can append from there. That is how you can use a tell method to let you know where exactly it is there, where exactly the file pointer is available at a given point of time whenever you call that function. Okay. And I would like to cover one more thing, which is seek. So using seek, you can place the file pointer wherever you want. Okay. Seek, and you can pass some argument. Okay. When you say 0, the file pointer will be coming back to 0th position. How to prove that? I have opened the file in append mode. In my file, I have 92 characters. So when I ask where are you, it will say I am at 92nd character. And I said immediately come to 0th position, means come to the very starting position of the file. Now if I once again ask where are you now, it should say 0. Make sense? Let me run this program. You see, initially it was at 92, but using seek method, I forced it to come to 0th position. Now I asked where are you, it says yes, I am at 0 because you asked me to come there, I am there. So that seek is a function which would help you to place the file point wherever you want to be. But once I do a seek, I may write something to this, right? What happens? You see this interestingly. I use write and I use some ABCD here. I want to write ABCD. I'll put a capital so that you'll understand. Okay, you understand what I said? What I have been doing? I first opened the file in pen mode. I asked where is the file pointer. It says 92 because my file has 92 characters at that point of time. I said immediately come to 0th index. Place the pointer at 0th position. I said. After that, I said write something. Okay. And then once again, I'm asking where are you now? Okay, save this, run done. You see, initially it was 92, which makes sense. Refer to this code again. Compare these things. 92, where did it come from? It came because of this tell. It makes sense because it was at 92nd character, 92nd position. Now this seek has brought your pointer, file pointer at 0th index. When you write something, what happened? Let us go and see. Okay, you see this ABCD is here. ABCD is here. After you have written this content, after you have written this extra content, your file pointer from here has moved to this position, which is 92 plus 4, 96. That is why you see this message of 96 over here. Okay, so this is how. And now what if I read? Okay, right now where is the file point? While file pointer is at 96th position. Really, if you are at 96th position, if I continue reading from here, you should not get anything, correct? But let me do a read operation now. Yeah, I can just get rid of this now. Okay, I'll save and run this. You see there is an error, not readable. Okay, so why is this? Because your pointer is at 100th position, which is at the end actually. You are here. Okay, because I ran it second time, it has moved ahead, but that's okay. Okay, now it says that I cannot read. Why? Because you are at the end actually. From here you cannot read it. No, there is nothing to read. That's why you got that message. So that position of the file pointer is very important for you to perform all these operations. Make sense? So tell is a method that you need to use to understand where currently my file pointer is. And if you use a seek, you can set it wherever you want. So these are the two functions that I would like to introduce to you. File pointer, under which we have covered tell, method, and seek method. Okay. All right. Also, the next thing that I would like to cover is, what if I try to open a file that is not present in append mode? What happens? Let's go and try. I don't really have a file by name mypoem1.txt, but I am trying to open it in append mode. And I have already shown you that if you try this kind of operation on non-existent file with read mode, it will give you an error, file not found. So you see, there is nothing that happens. That means there is no exception or there is no error in such cases. If you try to open a non-existing file in append mode, what happens really if I do this? I did not get an error, but what would have happened? Let's go and check. You see there is a mypoem1.txt file created with 0 bytes. That means when you attempt to open a file in append mode, when you attempt to open an existing file in append mode, it simply transfers the content of that existing file to RAM and it will just move the pointer to the end of that file. If you attempt to open a non-existing file in append mode, what it will do, it will just create that file. It will not throw an exception, but it will silently create that file for you, and it will be just placing the file pointer at the beginning of that file. That is how append works, and this is another difference between opening a file in read mode versus opening a file in append mode, especially when the file is not present. All right. So to open a file in append mode, you use a and you use write function to write to it. Okay, the next one is write. How do I what will I do? Sorry, not what will I do. Okay, see, right now my poem has this content. What happens if I try to open a non-existent file in write mode? I am showing you. Now what I'll do, I'll just go and delete this my poem1.txt. Really, there is no any file by name my poem1.txt right now. But I'm trying to open a non-existent file in write mode. Let us see what happens. No error, no exception. Just like in append, what happened? There was no any output, and here also there is no any error in the output. So let's go back and check what happened. Yes, write mode also has created a new file for you. So when you ask to open a file which is not present, which is non-existent, what this function does, what is write function, right in the write mode, then open function, what it will do, open function will create that non-existent file, and that's what you see there. That's what happened here. So it is a very similar functionality between append and write. If you try to append to a non-existing file, that file will be created. If you try to write to a non-existent file, that file will be created. But if you try to open a non-existent file in read mode, then that would result into file not found error. All right, fine. Now, what if I try to open a file which is already existing in write mode? Very important. Observe these differences. These are very, very important. Right now, what is that? What is there in my mypoem.txt? I have 96. You see here, 96 characters in my file. Makes sense? I have already 96 characters in my file. And that file, what is the operation I am trying to perform? I am trying to open that file in write mode. Let me run this. Okay, done. And let us go and see what happens. What happened is the content of the file has been wiped off. The content of this file has been wiped off. It may have thousands of lines, but all the content will be wiped off. So it is very dangerous to open an existing file in write mode, because when a file is already existing and if you are attempting to open it in write mode, it will just delete the content of that file. It treats that file as a fresh file. That's why it deletes the entire content. Never open a file in write mode unless you are sure about what you are doing. What is the consequence if you try that? The content of existing file will be overwritten. Sorry, content will be wiped off. You won't be able to see the content at all. So don't do that. But this is the main important difference between these different modes. Actually, that is very important for you to understand all of this. Which mode, which behaves, how it behaves in different contexts is what you need to understand. Well, I have opened this file for writing purpose. Write means overwrite. That's what you need to keep in your mind. Writing means overwriting. Appending means add to the end. Reading means just reading the existing content. That is how you have to remember. All right. Now what I'll do, I'll use write function, which is already what I have introduced it to you. My file dot write. I would say Sunday. Okay. And then I close this file. Once again, I'll open the file just to show you what happens, right? I open the same file in read mode. Then I just read the content and I will print. print. And then just I close the same file once again. So let me run this. So, and you see here, this there is nothing in this in the file, in this file my poem.txt. No content at all. But now I'm running my program and you got Sunday as output. This output is a result of this operation, this statement actually. Because what happened now? Let me go to file and show you. You got Sorry. You got this is Sunday available in the file. Return to this file. So write is what I have been using earlier to append to existing file, right? Same write function when I have opened the file in write mode already. That means the existing content will be completely destroyed. And then I started writing something. That's why you see Sunday again. And what can you guess the answer to this code? Monday. Okay, well, what happens now? What happens now? Remember, keep it in mind that my poem.txt already has some content called Sunday. But if I run this program once again, what happens? And that too, I'm opening that file in write mode. Yes, well, since I'm opening this file in write mode, the existing content will be destroyed first. Then it starts writing Sunday and Monday. And then when I ask for what do you have in you, it will give you both Sunday and Monday. But don't think that Sunday and Monday will be appended to this. Sunday and Monday won't be appended to this because I have opened the file in write mode. Okay, and let me also add new line characters. Okay, well, so no append. So don't think that you get Sunday twice. Okay, that won't happen because you're not performing the append. You did not open the file in append mode. That's why you get only Sunday and Monday twice. So go back and check here. You got Sunday and Monday. That's it. Okay. So this is how write works. So write when you try to open an existing file in the write mode, what happens? It will load the content of the file, but it will load the file, but it will destroy the content, and it's like something like you are starting with a clean slate. You are overwriting the file content, the new content that you are now attempting to write to it. If you open a non-existent file in write mode, it will just create it for you fresh. Okay, that is how write works. So yeah, for write to write to a file, you can use write function, write method. Sorry. Okay. All right. So that is about write operation. So I have covered read, write, and append, and how they behave in different contexts. And what is read mode, you know now. What is write mode, you now know, and what is also append, you know, right? So sometimes what you would do is, and there are other modes actually, like I'll just add these two things later. But there are other modes as well if you want to practice. One is R plus. R plus stands for read, and you can read R plus. You can read. You can also write actually. If you open a file in R plus mode, you can do read operation as well as write operation. You need not close that file, and you need not open it one more time, just like how I have been doing. One time I'm just doing the write operation. Again I'm opening the file for reading purpose, and then I'm reading. No, instead of that, if you open the file in R plus mode, you can directly perform read and write operations on that file. That is allowed. And if you open the file in W plus, W plus, then also you can write to file, or you can also read from the file. That is W plus. Same thing with append plus, where you can also append the content to to an existing file, or you can also read the content from the file. That is how A plus works. Okay. So this is a complete list of file opening modes. So this is what you need to understand. Okay. Read mode, write mode, append mode, and then same thing, but you will be getting plus, which indicates that you can do extra read operation on that. And if it is write already, you can do extra read operation. So read is common. So whenever you want to do read plus something else, for that something else plus add plus to that, so that you can perform that operation in the same go instead of closing it, opening it. All right. So this is how do the you can perform the read, write, and append operations on files. Okay. The next topic that I'm going to cover is, so far I have been Yeah, one thing that I want to cover is I'll cover the delete at the end because you see create how to create a file, you know, how to read from the file, you know, update I'll cover, and the delete I'll cover at the end. Okay. So now what if okay, so far I have been using open function, but there is another way of file opening, ways to open the file, right? So 1 second. Ways to open file. One way I have just shown you, which is using open function. The other way is using with. What is this with and what is advantage if I use with? I am going to explain now. Okay. If I have to open a file using with, how do I do that? Let me take this the same example. I have to open a file with. Just I'll just keep this statement as it is, and I'll write its equivalent. You have to use with. With is a keyword in Python. Keep that in mind. Okay. With is what you need to write, and then you have to open. You have to use the same open. Okay. Open. What is that file? The same thing. I'll just put it as, sorry, my poem in this case dot txt, and in say I want to open it in read mode for now. With open as is a keyword again, right? My file. Yes. Compare and contrast these two statements. So you see, with is a keyword which is not present here. Then open, this is all common. Open and everything is common. As is a new thing. Here you are assigning this entire statement to a variable, but here this comes as after as my file. Okay, my file. So this is its equivalent statement actually. All right. Now, as you have seen, this creates a block. That's why you have to put colon, and this creates a block. So what I'll do now is I'll just read the content from the file and just print. Hmm. So for that, print my file dot read. Sorry, read. All right. Okay. And you need not explicitly use close now because with will take care of that. That's the beauty of using with files. Okay. So bring this code to the bottom. And this is a preferred way and suggested way by Python to use, and it shortens the code. The second thing, the main important thing, main important advantage of using with is that the file content, file resource will be automatically taken care once you come out of the scope. That means as long as the scope you are within this control, within this indentation of this with, all these file handles and everything will be active. Once you come out of this, all the necessary operating system resources like memory and the file and everything will be returned back to the operating system. So that's the beauty of using with. And let me run this for you. See, you see the content coming out as it is. So this is the suggested and most practical way to open a file instead of using open, just like how I have been doing. Keep this in mind, and this is always, and I suggest you to open the file in the same way every time using with. And for any purpose you open the file, you can use within the same format and syntax. There won't be any change in that. All right. With that said, I have covered. How, what are the different ways to open a file? You can use open function, or you can directly, you can also use with, of course, in both, when you use with also, you have to use open function, but here you don't have with. And so this is without with, and this is using with. That's the main difference actually. Okay. But what is suggested way? Which one do you prefer, or which one we should prefer as a program Python developers? We should always prefer using with. Why? This is an interview question again, because when you use with, the method of using with to open a file, once you are done with, once your operation is complete with that file, automatically the resources associated with that file will be taken care automatically. You needed worry about closing that file or all that. That's the main advantage. All right. So, what else we need to discuss? Let me quickly walk through all these things. Well, I'm just, let me traverse through this quickly. What else is there? Create new file. How to close a file? How to write to a file. Okay, covered. Okay, appending data covered. File pointers I have covered. Uh, so let me go back to the slide and quickly check what else is cover missing. Okay. Y files cover, types of files, CRUD operations, delete operation I did not cover, I'll cover now. File opening modes, done. Ways to open files, writing to files, reading from files, appending to files, and file pointer inquiries. File pointer inquiries are nothing but using that seek, tell, and all, right? Tell is the inquiry, and seek is to set it, instruct it to place it at a particular position. File operations with OS module. Yes, the last topic is what I have to cover, and before that, I would like to cover the deletion operation. How do you really delete a file? Okay, so before we delete the file, what you need to understand is you need to use, you need to have some knowledge on OS module. So I'm just going to cover OS module, delete file, and then OS module. This OS module is very helpful when you are using, when you are working with files. Like first of all, you need to import this OS module. Every module that you want to use, right, in your code, you have to import. So there is no exception for this. So I just imported the OS module. Now, what I can try is I can just check like this. If there is a file in existing in a path, for that I have to use like this. I'm just asking if there is a file by name myfile.txt. Okay, I'm just asking whether there is a file by name myfile.txt, and I just print the result, print what this returns back. Makes sense? OS is a module. Under that module, you have path as a submodule. Under that, you have exist as a method. Let me run this. It gave you false. Why is that? In fact, what I have asked, is there any file by name myfile.txt? There is no any file by name myfile.txt within this. Let me now change this to mypoem.txt and run it. My, this is not case sensitive, but poem.txt. Now I'm asking whether there is any file by name mypoem.txt. It returned it true, which makes sense, right? So using this OS module, there are many useful functions, especially when you want to deal with files. Using those, you can do different operations, like you can inquire whether the file is present or not. Okay, all such operations you can perform, and of course, you can also delete a file using something from this OS module. That is what I'm going to cover. But okay, so this exist method returns true or false. If the file really exists, it will return true. If it doesn't exist, it will return false. Okay, and not from the here, but I want to check something from here. For example, I have something called function.cpp. I want to know whether this file is present or not. Okay, then what would happen? What would how should I write the code? If I simply ask like this, oh sorry, let me go back and say copy the name of this file and run this. I'm just asking whether there is a file by name function.cpp. It says false. Why is that? But file is there, right? So what happens is this exists will just check in the current directory, but it doesn't. It did not find anything with this name. So, but actually this file is here, right? So what I can do is I can give the complete path, the relative path, or absolute path actually here like this. Okay, but remember you have to use two slashes because when you are using in the string you have to use two slashes like this and just run it and check. It gave me true now. Same file, but when I give absolute path, it is able to detect that file. Make sense? And now it's not only on the files, but I'm just checking whether this is a holder actually. Under C, D drive is a holder for me. Under C, the D drive is just a holder. I'm just asking whether this holder is present. I'm not asking for a file, but I'm just asking whether this holder is present. It says true. Yes, there is a holder by name. This entire path is available is what it says. If I ask if there is anything called CD drives, this is false because I don't really have that. So it returns false. With this exists method, you can check whether a particular path exists or not, and you can use this to also check whether a particular file is present or not. Right? This is how you can check whether the file is existing in a given path or not. Well, how to delete a file? It's always recommended to check whether the file is present or not before you delete it. Because if you try to delete a file, which first of all, how do you delete a file? Okay, so I'll just comment out this and I'll just show you how to delete a file. For that, again, you need to use voice modules remove method. So to delete a file, sorry, you have to use voice dot remove. For this, you need to pass the file name. Okay, voice dot remove. What file you want to remove, that you need to mention. For example, my file is anyways not there. No, I'm just showing you an example, but this is how you need to pass. It's not there. If I try to call remove function on non-existent file, what happens is what I'm trying to show you. Okay, it's an exception again, file not found error, right? So when you try to delete a file which is non-existent, then it will give you an error. It is an exception actually, file not found error. Make sense? So this is how it is. And now if you have to delete an existing file, what I have done is I have created this mypoem.txt, right? For this entire session, I'm going to delete that now finally. Mypoem.txt. See, it is here, right? This mypoem.txt is here and it has this content at this point of time. I am trying to delete that. But as I said, it is always good practice, best practice to check whether the file is present, the file that you are attempting to delete is present or not, right? So you can check this. If os.path.exists, what is the file you want to delete? My poem.txt, right? If exists, then only delete it, right? Why I'm putting this guard? Because if I try to delete, if this file is not present, what will happen? As I have just shown you, it will throw an exception, right? Otherwise you can just print some message, file not found or something, file not found to delete or something, something like this. But in this case, you won't get this message file not found because you really find this file and it will be deleted. So I'll also print a message. File, what is the name of the file also I'll give my file dot, okay, sorry, my poem actually I have to change it. My poem.txt deleted successfully. So sorry, I should use this same name here. You cannot search for the existence of one file and delete the other, right? So this should be in sync. Oh, sorry, what happened? File my poem.txt deleted successfully, right? Or if you don't get it, it will just print that I did not find it. Let me just change otherwise. I'll just do it for one, not non-existent. That's where I can show you that file is not present and all. See, file not found to delete, right? And if I give the proper file name, which is already present, then it should delete it, right? Here I got to check for my poem.txt and here it should be my poem.txt. All right, run this. See, my poem.txt deleted successfully. Let's go back to the directory structure and see if I have my poem.txt. Search here. My poem.txt. You see, no items found. My poem.txt. That means my Python code, this piece of code especially, has deleted that file. And if I run this once again, I'll get an error, exception. Sorry, no, yeah, file not found, not exception, but my own code because I handled it by writing some code. It says that no, this file is not present. I cannot do anything on deletion part. All right. So this is how to delete a file you use os.remove. Except deleting the file for any other three operations, right? Read, write, and append. You have to open the file, but for deleting the file, you need not open the file. You can just check whether it is existing for safer side, and if it is existing, then only remove it or delete it. If it doesn't exist, just give some message to the user. This covers the deletion operation of the file. And with this, we come to the end of this session. I hope I have covered everything as per this plan, right? And before we conclude, I would like to introduce this website for those who have joined late. All right, this is our website, technolearnit.com. I would strongly suggest you to bookmark this link and visit this website every now and then. You can go through the courses that we offer and you can understand what all we teach or what all we are good at. And if you want to contact us, you can use any of these means. Okay, and we are also available on multiple social media platforms. Please subscribe to these platforms, right? Uh, and very importantly, this is the most important resource for you, this web page resources. And so far, whatever the sessions we have been conducting, all the material that we have been using for those sessions has been uploaded here, and you can download this for free. Okay, you don't even need any login. Even you can just directly you can just directly download and make use of those resources and become good at Python programming. And the same page will also contain the information about the next live session, what is the date and time, and you can just visit this page every now and then to understand and be up to date with the next upcoming programs of the live sessions. All right, and I would also like to introduce this YouTube channel, and I would like you to subscribe to this so that you will be getting the quizzes that we post on a daily basis. and these quizzes have the answer inbuilt. So if you just watch these quizzes till end, the right answer will be highlighted within the same shot. All right, and you can validate whether your guessed answer is right or wrong. All right, and these quizzes are very short. These are just half minute length, so it doesn't take much time for you to just go through these. And I would encourage you to watch this till end so that you will also get the answer to your quiz question. And this would really help you to be good at any if you're good at answering such kind of questions in the written tests or and all if you're planning to attend the interviews on Python. All right. Yes, with that said, I would like to conclude this session. Take care. Thank you.